Resident Evil 9 has fully been revealed. It was just revealed at Summer Game Fest 2025. Jeff Keighley's show that he puts on every summer now. Resident Evil Requiem, which I did not see coming. I'm super excited. I couldn't believe that this was actually revealed. You know, I made a video earlier this week talking about how there had been rumblings and a bunch of rumors going on about Resident Evil 9. Known Resident Evil leaker Dusk Golem on Twitter had been teasing this all week. He's been kind of putting together all the speculation into summarized tweets, essentially. But it happened. We didn't know if it was going to happen at State of Play or at Summer Game Fest or at Xbox's show or what it was going to be. But it turned out to be Summer Game Fest, and it was the closer to the show. And man, I'll post a little bit of my reaction maybe toward the end of this video, but I lost my mind. They totally baited us multiple times. At first doing like a commercial essentially for a Resident Evil sale that was happening, like Village and RE4 and stuff are on sale right now, and so they had a little teaser with the actress who plays Lady Dimitrescu in RE Village, and so we were like, it kind of got us for a second there, and then they had her come back again to talk about the 30th anniversary of Resident Evil as a franchise. And they had the director, I believe, of RE9 come out and talk to the camera for a second. He basically said, sorry, we're not quite ready to show you anything yet, but we'll be ready in a blink of an eye, essentially, if you can wait a blink of an eye longer. When he said that, me and my brothers who were watching with me, we were a little like, that's kind of an odd thing to say. Like, I wasn't expecting it to happen during the showcase, but I was kind of like, I wonder if that's hinting at maybe Xbox's showcase on Sunday, something pretty soon, because saying a blink of an eye, I mean, that's quick, obviously. And so I was like, I mean, maybe it's within the next week or two or something like that. But no, it was at the very end of the show. So not too much longer, probably 20 minutes after that moment happened, which is hilarious. They totally tricked us. And you know, at first when they did that during that second little teaser halfway through the show, I was like, what a weird thing to do. Like, best not to say anything almost, you know what I mean? And then after they actually revealed RE9 at the end of the showcase, I actually enjoyed that they did that, because it threw me off and threw us off the scent that RE9 was even going to be revealed. Because when this trailer starts, and we'll break it down here in a second, but it feels very un-Resident Evil. You know, this is a kind of cinematic teaser, I guess you could say. It gives me a lot of like David Fincher vibes, you know, kind of Seven or Zodiac, sort of detective serial killer atmosphere. It gives you that kind of eerie vibe that something's off. Alan Wake too, like there was a second where I was like, is this Alan Wake related? Is this Remedy or Control 2, something like that? Especially with the FBI, you know. It totally threw me off the scent. You know, we get this little moment here where it's saying like somebody found deceased who was infected or something like that, and you know, we all kind of look at each other, me and my brothers, like, this isn't Resident Evil. No, they wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't set up that there's going to be something coming at a future time and then reveal it in the same showcase. And so I actually think it was a brilliant move that they did that, because it totally threw off people like me. I'm so excited. Resident Evil 9, Resident Evil Requiem, it's here. Not really any gameplay from what we can tell. What a different tone than what I was expecting. You know, it's one of those things where, you know, and this should go without saying, this is obvious. There's always before you see something and then after in terms of what you're picturing. And it's like, I don't know really what I was picturing, but based on all the rumors that kind of Dusk Golem was putting out and stuff like that, I wasn't picturing anything like this for some reason. And so to kind of see it now, especially its marketing style with the eerie black and white dark kind of look, that's the best way I can describe it. It's very noir-ish in a way. It's not the tone or angle I was expecting, and I'm digging it, actually. You know, it's one of those things where it took me a moment after the trailer to kind of wrap my head around what we had just seen, and then going back and kind of watching the trailer again, and I'm getting excited. You know, you get like shots like this where I'm like, that is so Evil Within right here with the curtains blowing. You get all these missing posters and papers hanging on the wall. This shot too, this is very Evil Within, you know, and very noir. Calling it now, by the way, right here, this shot, we get this little gramophone, I think they're called, where you play record players. I think that's where we're going to save our game in this. I don't think it's going to be a typewriter. I think it's going to be that. I'm just speculation. I think that'd be pretty cool. Who knows, though? But this was obviously the moment in the trailer right here, what we're seeing. The RPD, Raccoon City, blown to shreds from the nuclear blast. What a moment. Like, that was obviously where everyone realized it was actually Resident Evil. You know, there was, throughout the entire trailer, I kept questioning myself. I'd be like, this looks like the RE engine. You know, there was like moments in the animation where I kept saying like, this looks like Resident Evil animation style. But I wasn't committed to that because, like I said, they had thrown us off the scent earlier. I was like, there's no way they would have bait and switched us.
Happy birthday to you.
By the way, this guy on the right totally looks like Ben Mendelsohn. For a second, I thought that was Krennic from Rogue One. It's not, obviously. I kept waiting based on the rumors for Leon to maybe show up. I'll have more on that later, but I was expecting like, oh, is there going to be a moment where Leon pops up and that's going to be the reveal? But they kind of already did that with the Resident Evil 2 remake trailer, for those that recall back at the PlayStation E3 event years ago. I think it was like 2018 or 20 something, like maybe 2017. But so I thought they were going to go that direction with this, but I like that they didn't actually. I like that they had kind of this restraint to not show Leon, and in fact not show any sort of legacy character or anything like that. The only legacy aspect to this trailer is the RPD, right? That's our only connection point. Otherwise, they're showing us a bunch of fresh faces, people we don't know. Obviously, it's been pretty much confirmed at this point that this woman right here, Grace, is connected to a character from Resident Evil Outbreak, from one of the PS2 games. I believe her name is Grace Ashcroft, and her mom was Alyssa Ashcroft. It's kind of cool that they're connecting it to kind of a lesser known Resident Evil title with that. I wonder how much that's going to matter in the lore, or if it's just kind of like a fun little, why not just connect it to this person? But the villain in this trailer says a couple times something along like, you're the chosen one, or something like that, or I've been looking for you. This is so interesting. What does this all mean? I'm so fascinated the direction they're gonna go for this. You know, when we saw this shot originally in the trailer with the crater, I wasn't expecting Resident Evil for some reason. I didn't even make the connection that this could be Raccoon City, because I was just thinking, oh, is this like maybe a sci-fi sort of game? Like, and then obviously right here, it's like, boom, Resident Evil with the statue. How cool is this that we're going to be going back to Raccoon City, seeing the police department again after all this time, especially since it's all but confirmed at this point that this will star Leon. It just makes too much sense for him to go back to the RPD or have this game be connected to that in some sort of way. Especially if this is being branded as a conclusion to his trilogy. That's just, you know, it's like George Lucas always says that. It's poetry, it rhymes. You know, speaking on Leon, I want to address this a little bit. Obviously, we don't see Leon in this trailer, to my knowledge. I have seen some people on Twitter saying that they think they see him. He does appear in the trailer. I haven't seen exactly where yet. I've seen some people speculate the guy in the hood we see at one point may or may not be him. I have no idea, but regardless, Leon isn't obviously shown in this trailer. I think that's an intentional move by Capcom. Dusk Golem says on Twitter, he says, Resident Evil Requiem, releasing on February 27th, 2026, starring Leon S. Kennedy and Grace Ashcroft, daughter of Alyssa Ashcroft. More to see very soon. He goes on to respond to a couple people, like he says here. I'll say this now before his own trailer breakdown he does. Leon is the main character of RE9 Requiem. You won't fully see him for a bit, though he is in the trailer, so once again another hint that he shows up somewhere. I am yet to see that, but in the final game you play far more as Leon than Grace. Take this as you will, but it sounds like Leon is in this game. We won't focus on that too much here because we haven't had official confirmation of that. I'll just say this now. A lot of this could be confirmed or deconfirmed over the coming hours. I'm recording this almost right after the showcase, about 30 minutes after. There could be a lot deconfirmed and a lot of this be a completely moot point, but I figured I'd record my initial thoughts and reactions anyway. I'll make an updated video the more details that we get. You know, I know we're all connected to our legacy characters. We all love Leon, Jill, Chris, Claire, Ada, you know, all these fan favorites. But I think it's a good thing to get new faces in here to continue the franchise forward. Get some new characters that we're going to fall in love with. Jeff Keighley says something very interesting.
Resident Evil Requiem marks a bold shift for the franchise, both in tone and gameplay, and today's reveal isn't just about survival horror. Expect high-stakes cinematic action too.
So this is the moment that I wanted to talk about. To me, obviously this could all just be talk, them saying stuff, but that sounds interesting. So we can expect a bold shift in both gameplay and tone, he says. This is big. I want to see exactly what this means. I think I get what he's talking about in terms of tone, because like I said, this opening here, to me, I'll just reiterate, it seems very cinematic, very movie-like. Not that there hasn't been those moments before in Resident Evil, but this feels story and lore driven, if that makes sense. Him mentioning that there's going to be a major, bold new vision for the gameplay too, I really wonder what that could mean. Where they can go gameplay-wise that is going to be a bold shift. How is this going to be a bold shift? That's where I think like the open world aspects may come into play a little more. Not that this game is open world, but I think that there might be a bigger emphasis on larger, more explorable areas that are interconnected in a way that is bigger than we've ever seen before. Or maybe there's multiple areas that we're able to go to and kind of fast travel to. Dusk Golem mentions in one of his tweets that the RPD isn't the only location, or not the RPD, but Raccoon City. It's not the only location, which most of us, I think, could have assumed. That then begs the question, is it going to be a place that we just visit momentarily for kind of a story-driven segment? Or is it an area that we're able to kind of come back to? I'm trying to just piece together this trailer a little bit, and my pure speculation is that Grace seems like she gets captured somehow. Maybe she's being held up in Raccoon City, which would be really cool. And she maybe breaks herself free, gets out, and you play as her segments in Raccoon City, while she's kind of, you know, trying to avoid all these obstacles and enemies, trying to escape. Meanwhile, Leon is somewhere else, maybe in more of this witchy area that we heard about with some of the rumors, and the gothic horror area. Maybe that's where Leon is. He's out on mission or something like that, and he ends up having to essentially go back to Raccoon City to help find Grace because she has some sort of vital information, or there's something important, you know, some MacGuffin, who knows. But maybe Leon is kind of simultaneously going through this witchy gothic horror area while Grace is in Raccoon City. And maybe part of the gameplay shift that they're talking about is that you can kind of go back and forth at will between the two of them. And maybe they're kind of communicating even. Maybe they have some sort of communication system between the two of them through Hunnigan or something like that. And that could be something kind of fascinating. There could be parts where it's almost like, I'm trying to think, you know, Split Fiction or The Medium or something like that, where there's these two planes that you kind of play through and they affect each other. So like maybe Leon has to do something over in this area and it helps Grace over in this area, and you can kind of at will switch between them. I don't know. You know, this is just pure speculation on my part at this point. And I don't even know how much we even play as Grace, because it sounds like Leon, there's more gameplay to Leon than there is Grace. I'm wondering if, to kind of balance the action and the survival horror stuff, perhaps maybe Leon's segments are more in line with something like Resident Evil 4, where it leans more toward that survival horror action we all know and most of us love, while Grace's segments are more of that true OG survival horror, where it's a little more Resident Evil 7 style, right? Or Resident Evil 1 or 2, you know, something like that, where she doesn't have as many resources, she doesn't have as many options to fight back. That could be interesting, kind of give us best of both worlds. So it looks like we're getting zombies too. That's another thing I wanted to point out. The end of this trailer looks like just straight up zombies. That could change. There's obviously going to be some horrific, terrifying monsters, as we can see glimpses of in the trailer as well.
I need your eyes on the crime scene. The Renwood Hotel.
This is really cool. I want to shout this out real quick. It sounds like there's going to be a hotel that we have to explore. That is super, super rad. Something I don't think we've really seen in Resident Evil yet. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments.
I know that's where your mother was murdered.
Okay, so it sounds like this is where her mom was murdered, the Alyssa Ashcroft character. I don't know if that was known or not in the lore.
Perhaps it's time for you to face the past.
So it does seem like there's going to be some sort of mystery investigation type stuff, which I'm super into. That sounds cool. If that's maybe some of the new gameplay loop, is solving puzzles regarding murders or incidents like that, that sounds cool. Like crime investigations. That could be a new gameplay system that I would be into. You know, that makes me think of even like the Arkham games a little bit, especially Arkham Origins, where you're able to use your detective mode to do some of that stuff. So it looks like she obviously gets kidnapped or captured and taken somewhere. It can't really tell where. This shot, like I said earlier, reminds me so much of Evil Within. Get a lot of Evil Within vibes from it.
I know now that you're the one that I've been searching for. The special one. The chosen one. Miss Ashcroft.
So we get the villain kind of speaking there, talking about, I presume, Grace. So she has some sort of importance to this villain or antagonist. Then we get our first shot here of Raccoon City decimated.
Investigating all these strange deaths, huh?
We need to keep our voices down.
Have you seen the same shit I've seen?
So I wonder whose voice that is. I think I've seen some people saying that that might be Leon. I can't quite tell. I wonder if they have the same actor from 2 and 4 playing Leon again, or if they did someone else since he's older in this. I hope it's the same guy from 2 and 4. I think his name's Nick Apostolidis. I hope he's back, because that would be nice to have that connection. I like how we get the 9 flashing in and out of the queue. And I guess this is kind of the last major thing to talk about. February 27th, 2026. So not too long, which I'm so happy about. You know, this was something that I think we were speculating for a while of when this game would come out. And Capcom is just really good about when they announce a release date for Resident Evil games. It seems like they come out within, I would say, 8 to 9 months usually. They're pretty good about that, especially lately. It seems like that trend is continuing. You know, we got the reveal here in June. February, you know, we're talking, what, 8-9 months. That's not too bad of a wait, which is awesome. Obviously, I would prefer if we were getting it this fall, just in time for Halloween or something, you know, during spooky season. But, you know, we'll take what we can get. February 27th, that's not too much longer after that. It sounds like, according to Dust Golem, there should be some more marketing for this ramping up soon, because he mentions that we'll see Leon, and it'll become more apparent that he's the protagonist of the game, or one of the protagonists. And then Jeff Keighley even mentions in the Summer Game Fest video, he says that this game will be fully playable at Gamescom, which I believe is in August. So in just a couple months, we should be seeing gameplay of this game, which is extremely exciting. Get a better idea at what they mean by a bold new vision for the gameplay and tone. There is a lot to look forward to here. We got a little bit of a key art from the thumbnail from the official Resident Evil account. It just kind of shows Grace with the title, nothing too special, but we get kind of more of that black and white with kind of a maroon color of the logo, which is a cool, you know, marketing look for this game. That's something I'm always fascinated by and like to see. I'm so pumped to see more. I'm so excited for this game. I'm looking forward to what we get next. And sound off in the comments below. Let me know what you think of Resident Evil 9, what your hopes are for the game, speculation you may have from this trailer. I'd love to hear it all. In the meantime, I'll see you guys on the next one.